Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to the Prosperity Project. If we know each other, you know I need a moment to fluff the hair just right. Let me pick your afro, daddy, because it's flat on one side. I guess that'll just have to do it. All right, let's just go ahead and go for it. I see that Darnaro Evans is here. Good morning to you, sweetheart. Patty Mormon Williams is here. Kimberly Winkfield, hey sis. And Chuck Hunt checking in from Monroe, Louisiana. This is what it's all about, the Prosperity Project. We're helping you to unleash your healthiest, wealthiest self, and self is where it always begins. My name is Nikki Thomas. I am a Bay Area radio personality and a digital creator. Creator because I created this out of what was going on the inside. And that leads us into what we're going to talk about today. So here is what we're going to do. We're going to have a really powerful discussion with our special guest expert. We're going to give you 3 tips to expand your consciousness and expand your profits. Good morning, Daryl. Darnell is singing with me because he knows the song about your afro being flat on one side. So expanding your consciousness and expanding your profits. I know a lot of people are saying, Nikki, what does spirituality have to do with your business? It has everything to do with your business. If you're going to get your business off the ground, if you think enough of yourself and believe enough of yourself to get this thing out there into the world. There's so many things. So let me just tell you about our guest expert today. Phoenix Jackson is her name. And that sounds like somebody who's doing big things in the world. She's an award-winning media and PR expert, 14 plus years. Branding, public relations, assisting celebrities, authors, politicians, professional athletes, humanitarians, business leaders, and nonprofits with finding their voice. And when you say finding their voice, that's that spirituality thing right there. And then sharing it with the world. So we're going to get deep and dig deep into this whole concept of spirituality and business with this lady. Please welcome Phoenix Jackson.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Nikki. And listen, that afro is beautiful.
You know what I'm saying? It's less of an afro and more of a triangle right now. That's my issue, but I think I'm just going to go freestyle with it. It's big. It's sitting out there. I think I'm good.
So, you look beautiful as always. And thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you. I'm ready to get into this and to help out your audience. Sounds like we have people from everywhere who are in here. Hi, everyone. How are you?
So wait, Chuck says that we're kind of out of sync a little bit. Let us know in the comments if we're out of sync at all. Let's hope it catches up. Sometimes the internet won't let us be in sync and great, but we're going to keep going anyway. So you look amazing. You look like a whole boss.
Thank you.
This is not a discussion or a video on decor. But may I just add that your background there looks like you are doing big things in the world. And thank you for putting that piece of yourself out there. for us?
Well, thank you. I appreciate you. Yes, I've actually been in the middle of redesigning my office here and have some beautiful artwork coming. So I had to kind of get my life together.
Mhm.
um, but you know what? I'm actually going to discuss something about, even in our conversation about sort of letting go of some parts of you that, what used to be and how you can step in even to that next space. So, and that actually has something to do with this decor and me shifting and even getting rid of the awards and all of the good frou-frou stuff over the last decade. But it's like, well, what's happening now, Phoenix? Right?
Girl,
Where are you
listen.
taking it next? All
I
right.
I
Make
have
space
a
for that.
I have a feeling we could talk for like 3, 4, 5 hours on this topic because there's so much to say and to share. Um,
Easily.
but let's start at the beginning. Now, number one, Phoenix, with us sisters, we never know how old we really are till we say. That's one thing. And you look very young and dewy and fresh, exfoliated and moisturized and everything. So you look hecka young to me, Phoenix.
How old do
So,
you think that I am? We can start there. And I ask people this, like, how old do you guys think I am?
well,
I give
that's a question we can't answer because it's either 22 or 31 or 16. We don't know.
I joke around, tell people I'm 55, like I'm a whole 55. Okay. Well, and some people are like, what? No. That's how I feel on the, mentally. I feel older because of the experiences that I've had in my lifetime. Everything has happened so sporadically and so, fast, to be honest. But I am 35 years old. And I feel like even at 35, I have lived multiple lifetimes in this one life. It's been pretty heavy in a great way and in, another type of way. So
I love to hear that because that is how you register, Phoenix. So if people saying, why are you talking about business and spirituality? This is why. I'll tell you a quick story of how I met Phoenix. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember or not.
I think, was it because we were both speaking in
Yes,
New Zealand or like
we were.
something?
Well, we were speaking at Angela's event, Angela Holton, the
Yes.
yes,
Conscious
and
dating, conscious love.
that's
Yes.
right. So actually, I was hosting and you were speaking, and it was a wonderful event. And I've just been a fan of hers since then. And
Hmm.
when I look at you, Phoenix, that's what I see. I see that's a young sister, but she has the old folks used to say an old soul, but I don't want to say it like that. What I want to say is a deep consciousness and
Mm.
a very mature outlook on your business, yourself, and how you receive yourself
Yes.
right this moment. So I see serious and I see open. I see all these different things, and you carry it in such a way.
Thank
So
you.
I'm going to say all that. We're going to get into the nuts and bolts of all that, but let's talk about where this all began for you.
Yes.
How did this all start?
So I have been the chief communications officer and founder of the Phoenix Effect. That's my PR and marketing firm. We've been around for 16 years. I started this company while I was a sophomore in college. So you're right. I've actually been on this journey for quite some time. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
There's only been a couple of occasions where I was called in to help inside of a corporation. Like I was called in for a year by one of the presidents at NBC to come in and do corporate strategy, like
Mm.
little things like that. But I've actually 95% of my journey as an adult, I have been an entrepreneur. And this is what I know and all I understand. And so I actually, while everyone was like sort of sad and trying to figure out how they were going to work from home when COVID hit, I was like, oh, this has been my life. This has been my life for, 16 years up at that point, 15 years. And so this has just been my way of life. And I've had to learn how to lean in and make tough and beautiful decisions based off of, my own self-alignment. I realized that a corporation doesn't run, a business doesn't run, a solopreneur doesn't operate and run without having the main people in charge, the leaders having to be aligned first. Things crumble when people are not at their most attuned self, not necessarily their best self, but their most attuned self. And so my journey as an entrepreneur has greatly been dependent upon my journey as a whole human being who's also been on a path of healing.
Mm. Mm. Girl, let me just take a deep breath. If I had my sage nearby, I would light my sage because it's one of those moments
Yes.
And this is what I'm also hearing too, getting the lies out of the way,
Yes.
the lies about yourself. Because
Yes.
again, when we say spirituality, who and where is God, and
Yep.
who and where are you? That's
Yes.
spirituality right there.
Yes.
So I have this thing, like with you as a young person, it's like you had the gift and the superpower of starting from a really powerful place.
Young. Yes.
Yeah,
Young,
young
but
and knowing who
I
you
had energy.
were from the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I love that, and I love that you can share that with us just by sitting there, being who you are at the moment. Um,
It's interesting because I know a lot of people. I was just to a podcast where someone was asking someone about their, I'm 25 and I don't know what I'm supposed to do and I don't do. It's actually pretty rare that we know what we're supposed to do. We should be more so leaning into who we're supposed to be, because the what changes all the time. Like with me owning a marketing and PR firm, I've had every type of business under the sun come our way, from financial tech firms to professional athletes wanting to start nonprofits, all these various things. And my hand has been in the pot of so many different industries throughout the years, while still being in that main pivot of this is what we provide or can provide to everyone who fits into our audience space. And I've also been able to kind of maneuver some of my own purpose in the midst of that. And you never know when you're going to figure out your exact purpose. You never know when things are going to come to a light for you, but it happens with you sort of interacting with your environment on a positive level and really following your intuition about where you're supposed to go. When we started my company, me and my ex-husband, he had a web developer and a marketer who kept disappearing. Like this guy just kept disappearing. And so the last time the guy surfaced, I said, hey, train me on how to do everything you know how to do. And he trained me, and then I took the business to the next level. Other people saw it, wanted to pay us to build their websites, wanted to pay us to help them out. And that's actually how the business started. And had I not been open to that shift and that change, because I was a pre-medical honor student, I was full ride scholarship to a private university, all of that. Had I not been okay with pivoting my major, pivoting everything to business, and really sitting in that, hey, I'm a potential businesswoman, I would have never made it to where I am today, which I like my life. I'm cool.
yeah.
I like my life,
Ooh,
So
girl,
you
listen.
have to be okay with how it starts, right? It doesn't just, you don't wake up one day and be like, ooh, I'm
Yeah.
here, right? You got to be okay with how it starts and lean into it.
I think that's another lie we just uncovered. I think
Yeah.
we're programmed to believe that everything is one big lightning bolt moment that opens up the sky for you and your whole life.
No.
No, you have to understand that it's a process. And if you just keep moving,
Mm-hmm.
the answers come as you move. As you spoke, I wrote all that down. Stop asking so many questions and just move into who you are right now. Who you're
Yes.
supposed to be
Yep.
next year will reveal itself when the time is right.
It does. Yes. Every time. Every
And
time.
let me just point out, you said your web person kept disappearing. Listen. Listen. This is a
Something about
nugget.
web developers.
No, listen, I did not expect for all of this to come out today, but if you're trying to build an empire, the web people disappear. I think the shelf life is very short.
Yes.
So it's like that's a portal for you. Things have changed so much over the years that you can do your own website in an afternoon.
Yeah.
I had to learn it. Phoenix says went the same direction for her. And really, it's not even about websites anymore. It's totally different. We got social media.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just an example of right now, at that particular moment, I needed to
Yeah.
jump into this and learn it. So it's a portal to another version of yourself
Yes.
that's going to keep this whole thing going.
Yeah.
So I love this. So we're talking about it already, but let's dive deeper into the importance of spirituality in all
Yes.
this. I don't know if we want to go in the area of a practice or if we want to go into the
The
spirit.
why.
Yeah, the why, the spirituality. Where would you like to start?
I would like to step into the why. I learned something a while ago, many years ago, and it was very clear, which was that when I wasn't aligned, when I wasn't, happy, when I wasn't in a good space of energy flow, everything around me dried up. You see entrepreneurs who do this financially, right? They're like, "Do, do, 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 do." that's because they have some unhealed and broken things within them that haven't aligned yet, which is contributing to this, right? Because money is just a transfer of energy. And if you're not receiving that energy in an abundant way, that means there's something in you that's actually like a tailpipe that's stopping that from flowing through. And it has nothing to do with the money. It has nothing to do with your business. It's you. And I realized that also in the time that I was kind of learning some of these different lessons, I learned that if I didn't ask, it was probably not going to show itself. It's okay to ask. And I think we are taught, I know that I was taught growing up in a Southern, Christian household, I was taught that, you have to suffer, you have to go through these very hard times before you can see something come to fruition. And I think the average American has that seed planted. Probably the average human on this planet has that seed planted of, you have to suffer, you got to go through pain before you can be birthed into something new and before something new can come about. And the reality is that's not true. You can manifest that to be true in your life, which I had manifested that to be true along the journey, but that doesn't have to be the case. You don't have to go through all these terrible things to get lessons and to understand where you're supposed to step. Now, if you do tend to go to those things, you can use your trauma and turn it into triumph.
Ooh.
By the way, that's my next book.
No, that sounds like a book to me.
No, it's called Keep Betting on Yourself, Turning Trauma into Triumph. But it's also, we don't have to, go through all these things to get the lessons that we're supposed to receive. Sometimes we can watch other people go through things, or we can see other things happen and sort of embody what truths are we seeing from just being an observer. And as an entrepreneur, your self-alignment is what's going to open you up to attract that lifestyle and the business and the clients and everything that you want. It all starts with you first. You're not going to attract that ideal client if you are sitting around worried about yourself, worried about your relationships, worried about your this, worried about that. You're stagnating the positive vibrations from coming to you. And so it always has to be about, the first thing is always, how can I align myself with what I really want? We don't always know what we want. So that's a hard question too. People always ask, well, what do you want? Some people don't know what the hell they want. And that's real, and that's okay. So since you don't know what you want right now, how about you think about, well, what actually makes me feel good? And you continue to do that. What makes me feel more in tune with the good part of myself and the good part of life, and do more of that. And that's gonna traverse you down the path of opening up to the things to really figure out what it is that you do want. But if you're sitting around and you're moping and you're worried and you're sitting around thinking about what you don't want, you're going to sit around and attract more of that. And as a business owner, your business is going to be stifled, because your business is nothing but an expression of you. That's all it is. Your business is a straight expression of who you are.
Girl, let me backtrack a little bit. I'm going to
share
share my.
A lot. Oh man,
I love it. I love it. Let me just share the notes here. Energy flow. Okay. When we spoke to Julian Gordon a couple weeks ago, we talked about money is energy. Mm-hmm. And if you never believe that, believe it today, because that's all it is.
Yeah.
All money is the numbers on the screen when you open up your, banking app, because physical money doesn't even exist anymore. It does not. The actual dollar amounts in everybody's bank account and everybody everywhere, that physical money does not exist anywhere. It's energy. That's it.
Yeah.
And you said something, but I wrote down foot on the brake, the stop start when you did this.
Yeah.
It's like, that's you, that's your business, that's your whole life is going to do this.
Yeah.
Because, there's that one foot on the brake. You can't drive with one foot on the brake.
Yes. I love how you word that.
And it's an amazing thing, because you just keep going back to, it's you. It's you. Yeah. Your business, that's you. Your relationship, that's you. It all goes back to you. Yeah. So, your consciousness about how you see things, how you're going to witness opportunity. Oh, no, I can't do that. Okay, that's why you're stagnant, because there's an opportunity right there, and it just went by you because you could not see it fully. You could not see it or accept it or receive it or start executing. Yeah. So there's a whole lot of nuggets in there. And at the same time, it's a lot of things that can't even be described in words. But I know everybody who's watching and listening right now knows exactly what we're trying to say.
Yes. Yes. And you know what, humans, this is something I've learned too over time. Humans don't tend to grow based off of words.
Mm-hmm.
People tend to grow based off of self-observation, observing other human beings, and actual experience. We're tactile learners by nature. So you can hear what I'm saying, but unless you actually apply it or see what I'm doing, you're not really going to activate it.
Yeah, it's like it has to be an internal trigger
Yeah.
to make it real, because we are, good grief, we're thinking the same thoughts every day.
Yeah.
And until there is a disruption in your thought pattern, you will run in that circle. And, if you're running in a circle, you're moving. So you can think you're moving, but not be moving the needle.
Exactly.
Running in that circle.
Busy work. Unnecessary busy work is what I call it.
Oh, I'm so busy. Okay, are you in the same spot you were last year?
And I'm definitely not.
No.
I'm definitely not 2 years ago. Every year, things keep progressing in every way. Financial. I've had some hiccups emotionally because I've gone through a recent trauma.
Right.
But even then, the energy flow just swooped me back. I got even more into alignment into where I was supposed to be. Right. Mm-hmm. So I think that we also have to be honest with ourselves about what's real and what do we really want. We are being taught all the time, especially as entrepreneurs, that, you need to be making six figures and here's this side hustle. Here's this quick way to make money. People are forgetting the beauty of doing something that you actually want to do. Right. It's like, hey, if you've been told you have the hands of God, honey, you probably should be a massage therapist or a Reiki practitioner. If you're someone who likes to see pimples being popped and extracted, maybe you should think about being an esthetician. Really forget the money aside. What will make you have a comfortable lifestyle of you getting up and doing something you actually want to wake up and do? Because I know a lot of rich people, and I've worked with a lot of wealthy people who are very unhappy, and they originally started off in the game doing something that they really enjoyed, only for it to entrap them, and now they're not enjoying it, or they feel like they have to do all these other things to keep up with the unnecessary lifestyle that they're carrying.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I'm glad you said that too. When we look at Naomi Osaka, when we look at Simone Biles, it started out as something that you loved. And then other people took ownership of you, your athleticism, your talent, your skill.
Yes.
And I'm so glad that they're doing what they're doing in the way that they're doing it, because it's not about money for these ladies anymore. They've done it. They've proved it. They've got the money. They've got the medals. It's not for anybody else.
Right.
So please understand that it's well within their rights to walk away from whatever championship. What is a championship to my spirit? What is that?
Right. And they've given us enough. That's the thing too. It's like, how much more do you want? You've been given enough.
There's brutal abuse in those spaces that they're in. It's brutal abuse that they're suffering to look like a winner on the TV.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Let's talk a little bit about overthinking, because I feel like it's a fancier word for it, because when we say stuck, when we say out of alignment, that's really what's happening. You're overthinking the thing.
Yeah. Or when you're out of alignment too, is you're not authentically presenting who you are, and that you're not authentically living the reality that you want to live. And I say this in a way to me is self-talk as well. I knew a long time ago, Spirit told me a long time ago that I was going to teach best what I'm learning, and that my journey was going to be around molding people to be powerful. Well, I've done that for the celebrities and other people that I've worked with, but I've always struggled with, well, how do I translate that over to the public, right?
Yeah.
And I spent years overthinking that.
Yeah.
Which kept me in a place of, I'm doing all this work over here and all the systems that we're affecting, the international work, the people we work with, but there's this whole cadre of humans that I'm not even touching. And I overthought that and kept feeling stuck in a space of not providing other people with what they needed. As soon as I decided to just do it and get out of the fear of presenting people with who I actually was, I would package everything into this businesswoman, and I left out the spirit, because that was the part of me that was the the softest, most vulnerable, most important part. And I didn't want to integrate that. And I kept being told it's time to integrate that. And as soon as I stepped in to integrate that, the unstuckness that was there left. And since I was able to start speaking more and doing and integrating that, the response I received from that was huge. So before I would do public speaking gigs, TED Talks and stuff, and I would leak out the spiritual piece in those things, once or twice a year, right? And now I'm able to use social media. You spoke about social media earlier, to actually really integrate those things. And the response from that has been very overwhelming, because now I'm actually authentically stepping into what I'm supposed to be doing as it relates to the people. Mm-hmm. That's alignment. So sometimes that alignment we're looking for is simply on the other side of just execution and just doing it.
That's it.
Just do it.
That's it.
Get the excuses out of the way. There's an audience for everyone. And there's someone who needs what you need. And some people are introverted and they're like, I don't give a damn about the audience. That's okay too. Then execute and implement what you need for yourself. Like, provide what you need for yourself or the people closest around you with whatever modality you choose to use.
Right. It's never what you think it is. People are like, you're not an introvert. Oh, yes, I am. I am an introvert. And it's all that is where your power comes from. For me, my power comes from sitting in my space. I have to be alone to generate. Then I step into it. Then I can give you my best on the radio, or if I'm speaking. It's nothing offensive about either or. Right. Let me tell you what I wrote down. I put little arrows pointing to it in several spaces. Years. You can spend years overthinking
and battling what you already know. Because the reality is you already know what you're supposed to be doing. You know the answer.
And it's so simple. It can probably be boiled down to 3 steps.
Yeah.
That's really all it is. If you can take what you know and you love and you can teach it to other people or tell it to somebody else in 3 to 5 steps, that's it. That's it. And different containers. You can teach, hey, here's one container with 3 to 5 steps to making money on the internet. Or here's another container with 3 to 5 steps on, how to go live without being nervous. So there is a whole brand in there if you can just get your foot off the brake.
Yep.
And let me just say, even if you have spent years overthinking, because God knows I have. Those years don't matter, though.
No.
What matters is right now.
Right now. Yep.
Right now. So like I said, this is hot seat coaching right here, because I know everybody who's watching has something on their spirit.
Yep.
That's why we say spirit today. You have something on your spirit that you're overthinking.
And it's been weighing on you.
It's been weighing on you. And when we get to our top 3 here, you'll get the steps and a bit of a flow, but it's always more complicated in your head. And if you're just sitting there thinking, you have to speak it or write it or move it or put it out there live on the internet to really get the juices flowing, because sometimes it doesn't even happen until you pick up the pen or put your fingers on the keyboard, because your mind, body, and spirit is one whole
entity. Yes.
Entity.
Very connected.
Right. So the movement is what brings it out. That's what the lightning bolt is. That's what the strike of inspiration or the breakthrough in consciousness is. Oh, I want to write a book. Well, you haven't done anything yet. If you're sitting there saying, I want to write a book, put your fingers on the keyboard and do this for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then look at it. Oh, wow. Okay. That's just step 1. That's it. The breakthrough is just step 1.
Yeah.
And then
you'd be surprised when you start moving, how effortless the universe moves on your behalf. Your ancestors, God, whatever you give intentional thought into, you'll be surprised how quickly things move. And it's all about you making a decision to move. The rapper Common, he said something that I had on my wall for years. I don't have it on my wall anymore because I've embodied it now, but he used to say all the time, God moves. That was just a statement, God moves. And so I kept moving. I always remember to move, And I'm a person like you too. I got to kind of sit into things. I love to meditate. I've been meditating since I was 19. And people are like, well, I've never seen no picture. I've heard one of my girlfriends, I've never seen no picture of you on social media meditating. I was like, because
that's not what it is.
I've been a meditator my whole life. Like it's my way of life, and it's my way of life. And when I'm actually meditating, I knock you out if you come and take a picture of me in my spiritual space, right? Now I can stage it, but when I'm actually meditating, there's no room for electronics in my space,
Girl, listen, sit at it, because people think that if you haven't shown them on social media, it does not exist. Yeah. No, it's your meditation and that's your spiritual space.
Yeah, your personal time.
And for me, I'm kind of the opposite. There's pictures of me out there doing this. It's like, that's because it's a cool picture. Yes. But to be honest with you, I know that meditation comes in the form of moving my body through yoga.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because for me, I'm an Aquarius. I have to slow it down. That's my thing.
Yeah.
And also I know that meditation is just being quiet. If I just sit in my space, if I'm doing that's the thing, because if I'm moving or doing yoga, or if I'm doing my spiritual readings in the morning, the ideas will start coming so fast.
Right. You're a visionary. Yeah.
Yeah. The ideas will come so fast. I can't sit still very long. So just the sitting and meditating is not my form. Yes. And I had to discover that for myself. Yeah. And that's okay.
And I think people, thank you for bringing that point up, because meditation does come in so many different forms. Yes, some people who do manual labor and they're doing that same movement over and over again, they may work in a factory or some kind of chain assembly line. That's meditative.
That's meditation.
That's meditative. They don't even know. Their brain is quiet and they're just, there's meditation in all those things. So you are perfectly correct. So thank you for saying that. I think people need to hear that more often. You should make a post just about that. Like
I do it all the time to remind people, because what people, the part that people don't get here is a quick meditation 101. Mm-hmm. Move first, then meditate. You will never go from your phone buzzing every few seconds and 9 million things in your head. Social media has made us all very anxious and overstimulated. Yep. So you have to move. If you want your kids to go to sleep, you don't put them in the bed and say, go to sleep. You bring them to the park first, or you put them in the car and drive them around.
Right.
You make a move, and honey, listen, sleep is like that. Yes. So your brain is the same way. If you move first, then you can quiet. And I know for me, it's a spilling of things that I have to brain dump and then organize. So yes. Again, all of this is in our top 3 that's coming in a few minutes, so we've already kind of mapped that out. So this is amazing that this conversation, it's taken us to these different places, but it's really come into one singular realization.
Yes.
So I love this. Leslie Lyon says, this is awesome. Thank you. It is so awesome, right? And let me just say, this was one DM on Instagram, like this whole Prosperity Project segment right now.
Yes.
A mustard seed, a movement, a text message, a DM that can open up your whole world. Just trust me.
That's true. That's true.
So let's go ahead and get into our top 3. We've been kind of teasing people with it this whole time. So it's, 3 shifts that you can make spiritually to expand your business or your creative ideas. So yes. I have them here. And our first one.
And intuition and intention. Mm-hmm. So I want people to keep this in mind, and we'll pivot off of this straight point. Whatever you have not healed will show up in your business in some way, shape, or form. So as you guys are, looking for those, those top 3 things that you can sort of inactivate right now to kind of get you going and get you moving. The first thing is intuition and intention. I want you all to think about, in what ways have you actually listened to your intuition along the way? Now, women's intuition has started to become stifled. Men are always taught that they don't have intuition. That's not true. Every human has it. Every human has that sixth sense, that gut feeling in you that will tell you yes or no. And a lot of times our fear, our filters, our own personal issues will muddle up our perception of the response that we already know. You already know it's a yes, but because of your fear, filter, you're not moving in that direction. or you know it's a no, but because of your fear, your filters, your issues, you continue on this path that you know you're not supposed to be heading down, right? So as you're dealing with yourself and your business, I want you guys, in any chance that you guys can, and every chance that you guys can, make sure that you are listening to that inner voice. That's what's going to lead you to where you're supposed to be. I tend to believe that we are in our physical bodies, this is our lower self. And we all have our higher self, our spirit that's encompassing inside this shell. That larger spirit already knows what you're supposed to do. Its work is in trying to translate into this body what you should be doing out here. So as it's giving you some information, as it's talking to you and it's sending you those signals in your body and your mind about what you should do, make sure that you follow that with every bit of chance that you guys can. And as it pertains to your intention, if your intention is just to make money in your business, then you're probably not going to succeed. But if your intention has more of a higher calling to it, like I was mentioning earlier, you know, if you're an esthetician or a massage therapist or whatever, and you have more of an intention to be in service of other people in some way, shape, or form, you're more than likely to actually find success that way.
Wow.
Our life is built off of intention. Things manifest off of intention. You know, whether good or bad, right? We all heard that saying, the road is paved to hell with good intention, whether good or bad. Intention actually charts out every course. So what are your true intentions? Is it just so that you can live life a little freer? Are you looking to live life freer so that you can find a deeper sense of happiness? What does that actually look like? Why are you doing what you're doing? So start there. Listen to that. Listen to your spirit as it talks to your body. That's intuition. And then really think about your own intention in life and your own intention with everything that you're doing. Because if the intention is not right, it's not going to manifest and it's not going to come to fruition.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I had to make a homemade church fan.
Like I got one of those fans, those open fans.
Yes, I just had to make a homemade one because it is getting hot in here.
Yes, I have my body just warmed up too.
Intuition. I love what you said about men are told. You know, that's another lie right there. It's another lie we just had to uncover because that's not the truth.
Not the truth.
And let me tell you, I could call this lady, we could do 10 more shows about the topic of spirituality and intention. It's a lie. Okay. It's a lie that men have when women don't. You know, I just had a reading this morning about bringing your masculine and feminine qualities together.
Yes. Integration. That's a whole nother conversation. I call that integration when you're bringing two seemingly opposing energies cohesively.
We all have a masculine and a feminine side.
Yes.
And there's another little blip I just got here from Spirit, because I know a lot of people are course junkies and guru junkies, and you're following this guru and that person. I spent a lot of time in classes that were too far to the left. Let's put it on the vision board. Let's do this. Okay, that's wonderful. But we haven't moved into how to actually make it happen tangibly.
And that's the logical masculine side.
That is. Right? So it's like if you want to run away from it, you can do it, but you're going to miss it, and you're going to, your flow is when you have both of them happening. So for me, I wanted to ignore that. Well, I could just manifest it. I could just put it on my vision board and it's going to happen. No, boo-boo kitty. It will not. It will not. So, and I know this, a lot of guys, it's like they think in the numbers and this and that. It's like, hey, bring your intuition into this. Yeah. Bring your visioning into this. Sitting down and meditating on it into this as well. That's only going to make it more powerful.
Yeah. And see what you just said too, that's where men are missing the part where they are putting the vision board together, taking time to figure out their vision, taking time to figure out what they want to do. And then women are, a lot of times missing the application. So that it is the marrying of those two personalities actually will create a whole person.
Yes.
Those two.
Yes.
It's so interesting because I know that for years, when I was younger, I'm just going to speak about one manifestation. I pretty much just manifested everything that I've said I wanted to manifest.
That's right. Yes.
And I remember for years I kept having dreams about Oprah, right? Like everybody wants to like work with Oprah, meet Oprah, all these different things. I kept having dreams about her. I would have a dream about her probably every few years. And every dream, it always came to the lesson I got from the dream was that I wasn't ready.
Mm.
I ain't ready. I always thought I wasn't ready. So I had a dream about her maybe very beginning of 2019. And in the dream we were walking arm in arm. And she asked me very clearly, Phoenix, what do you need? And in the dream, I started to answer her, but I woke up. And then I went into this real world and I was thinking to myself, what do I need? Because at that point, I hadn't even figured out what I actually needed. You know, when you're a mother, when you've been a wife, everybody else's needs, my clients' needs, everybody else's needs superseded my own. I didn't even know what I needed. I just was living, you know, content and just flowing, but I didn't know what I needed. I met her a year after that. I met her early 2020. And I knew it was coming because that dream showed me, okay, you're ready, but you still need to figure out this is about you. This ain't about meeting Oprah. She's a pivot and a guide and a conduit. And it's like,
Right.
really all this is about you.
Yes.
What do you need? So when I met her, it was a little bittersweet because it was like, okay, I knew I was going to meet her. Thank you. I met her. It was lovely. It was great. She rubbed on my belly. I was pregnant at the time. It was a great experience. But I also looked at it like, I knew it was like a culmination. I knew in that moment too of meeting her that this is about me and me manifesting
Not about Oprah.
my journey. It's not about her. It's about me figuring out my reflection and my expression and my integration of self with the public. Instead of only working with people of this caliber, how can I work with everyone and what does that look like? And she's done it the best, right? She's been the ultimate teacher for the last 30 years.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah, you know what? And okay, this is a little,
and that's about intention too, right? My intention was to meet her, but my intuition leveled that out and said, your intention is to meet her, but this is much more than that. This
right.
Is
yeah, because meeting Oprah is really a little thing.
Yes.
What else are you going to put on top of that is really the big thing.
Yes.
And so I have to listen to the blips. I wrote down when I was younger, because same for me. When I was younger, up until a certain point, just that carried me very far.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I was relying on that because I never really pushed all that hard.
Right.
You know, the career came and fell in my lap, radio, when I was still in college. I never really had to apply for jobs. They were just there.
Yes.
Opportunities were just there. I would pray on it. Boom, there it was.
Boom.
But it's like, do you want to add some extra power to that? Access the other side of yourself that needs to create the tangibles.
Yes.
And then keep going. And also you said arm in arm. You said walking. You had a dream about Oprah. You were walking. I have dreams about Prince like that, where we're walking arm in arm and we're talking. So it's a specific meaning. So it's like, I got to write that down and look up, what does that mean? Walking arm in arm with someone in a dream. And I know it means something. I know it means something. So I have to write it down.
It's a comfort thing. It's a comfort and an energy of support. You are leaning up against and connected to one another. You're walking in the journey. And there's even more in the dream that I won't speak of now. We could talk about it offline, but yeah, it's you guys walking arm in arm. It is, I trust this vibration next to me. This vibration trusts me, and we are connecting. And see, people can think dreams can either be a figment of people's imagination, which is what we are taught, or it can be something more. Maybe dreams are actual premonitions, or maybe dreams are dimensional realities that are actually happening at the same time we're in this reality. There's so many ways you can look at that, but it is your subconscious is communicating with Prince and showing you Prince because there's a trust that you have of him energetically.
Oh, girl, listen. Like I said, we'd have to talk offline about it, because it's just like, people think it's like, oh, you wanted to marry Prince. It's like, no, I was very connected to him.
Yeah.
And his energy. And that's the energy in all of, we're very close friends.
Yes.
And it's like, it's stuff arm in arm. It's like, I remember like he was walking and I was holding, like if somebody's walking, you hold on to their elbow because it's dark, and it's like that. He was guiding me. We were walking somewhere and I had his elbow, and he'd just be like, hey, come on. So it's like, it's your subconscious brain trying to communicate to you through ways that you will understand.
Yes.
So it's super deep, y'all. Listen, even if you don't know what it means, write it down or keep it in your mental Rolodex, and you will be
Mhm.
shown at some point what it means.
Yes.
I could talk all day about that particular subject, but it's like, oh, every time I see her, she's talking about Prince. So let me just shut up. Let's move on. let's, move, let's move on to the next one. Remove distractions. What's spiritual about removing distractions? Let's talk
Oh
about
my
this.
God.
Child.
If you, let me bring up something. My family is of my mother's side is of part Native descent, Native and Asian descent. So you, the natives, long time ago when cameras were first created, they said every time someone takes a picture, they're taking a piece of their spirit. Right? That
Mm-hmm.
is a belief that natives still have and tribal natives still have. And I believe also as well in some African, indigenous tribes as well. So imagine that, let's say that was true. We don't know if that's true, but let's say that is true. Think about every selfie that people take, every picture that's posted, everything that's shared, everything that we're absorbing and looking at of other people's lives. We're all removing, taking from ourselves, absorbing other people's energy. There's an energy transfer and an energy swap all the time. And we all should be aware of at this point as we're adults that wherever your attention goes, your energy flows. So if you go to your settings in your phone and look up your screen time, and your screen time is above a certain amount, that is a
Embarrassing.
reflection of where your energy is actually focused. People right now are living, they spend more time living and looking through the lens of other people's lives than they do their own existence. And that is not the way that this journey is supposed to be. So someone who's an avid entrepreneur, someone who's meant to be productive, someone who's meant to impact society in one shape, way or another, they are less likely to do that by being an observer on social media. They're less likely to do that by allowing themselves to be interrupted by everything that's happening in society, every issue that's happening here and there. Because the more that you absorb and the more that you are paying attention to, the more choices that are happening in your brain. And our brain is actually not meant to carry that many decisions and choices and distractions and movement with things that have nothing to do with it at
That's
a time.
right. That's right.
Right.
That's
And
absolutely right.
so the best thing that any of us can do, and this is speaking to myself, and I talk to my son about it all the time too, he's a teenager, is to put the phones down. That is the biggest distraction to date. People are spending their lifetime on a device. We look around, there's trees and birds and rabbits and flowers and water and fire and everything that's happening, and the world is literally falling apart, and we are watching it on our phones, and we're actually not living in this beautiful existence of a planet that we decided to come down to live on. And yes, we all decided to be here. We're all here by choice. So
Ooh.
I would say removing the distractions and slowing it down. I'm not saying you can't never go in there and laugh at TikTok and do this and do that. But man, what does it feel like to just not touch it or put yourself on a timer? I put myself on a 2-hour timer a day. So meaning when a 2-hour timer goes off, all my stuff locks. My Instagram,
Wow.
all that, it locks.
Yeah,
Locks,
girl, listen. And I'm so glad that that was how the question came out. What's
Mhm.
spiritual about removing distractions? And I love that explanation. Um, I was writing again. I had to highlight this time because it's serious. Pictures, videos, social media, seeds, other people's seeds, and the rabbit hole. That's what I wrote down. The rabbit hole. I wrote it down earlier in the conversations. Um, it happened to be the other day. I'm going to give an example.
Mhm.
I said, okay, Nikki, sit here. Let's get your whole empire together. And I
Yes,
watched
empire.
one video from a girl. She's a YouTuber. She had great information on how to batch your content. Wow, this is what I need right here. But
Right,
there, the trance started, and I started writing down everything she said. And she's like, "There's this great app that I use to batch my content, and it sounds okay. I should be organized like that." Do you
right,
know I spent 2 or 3 hours on the learning curve of this app when a piece of paper would do? I know for me, if I write it down and I have the things that you stick on the wall, how close could I have been to having it done?
mm,
Okay, you can batch your content all day. If you spend weeks or years batching content and you haven't created any content, what have you really done? So I went
yeah,
down this person's rabbit hole
yep,
and stagnated my own process. So when I thought about it later in the day, I said, Nikki, that could have come later for you. You could have actually created the thing instead of thinking about or organizing the thing. And there's a place for it. But every time you pick up your phone, you're going to fall down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
You're going
Yeah.
to fall down a rabbit hole. It's
You
going to
get the
be fun.
trance. You use the word trance. It's the
yeah.
trance. You get stuck into the and your energy has gone straight there.
Straight down. And it's fun. It could feel good. I watched some dude dance on a loop for about 10 minutes the other day. He was having a good time. He had his arm, and I was like, oh my God. I sent it to him. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
So it feels, social media feels great. And it feels great to be overstimulated. It's like a drug. It's an addiction.
Yeah.
So, okay, I want you to tell us how, you said you lock everything, you give yourself 2 hours on social media and then you lock it up.
Yep. So that's 2 hours in a whole day. That's going to it, and it keeps track of everything. And it's like a 2 hour timer. It's in every Apple phone has it. I'm sure Samsungs have it as well, where you can actually set a timer on any app that you want. So let's say you are on Messenger a lot, messaging your friends. You can actually lock it to at a certain time. Mm-hmm. And I chose my social media particularly because I have control over my text messages. You know, only so many people have my number and stuff and access to me anyway. But it's like the social media, there's always something. And the videos I've been posting lately on social media have been getting over, or an average about 15,000 views a video. So with that, you have people commenting, you got people sharing, and I'm like looking. And now I'm like, you know what? I don't need to respond to people right now. I don't need to monitor any of this. I can continue to get myself in alignment so that when I do share and I do post, the messages that I have they will be received by the people who need to hear them. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, it's not about me in this moment. This is about me getting to alignment so that I can teach what I do know that actually works. Mm-hmm. And so for myself, I have to stay into my own alignment. I've had to remove those distractions and sort of getting those things out of the way. And then I've had to learn to work in blocks. I've had to learn hey, this is a 30-minute timer. When I'm getting ready to do a project, and I always have like these list of things in front of me to do, I turn this up and say, okay, this particular client's project, I'm just spending 30 minutes on that right now. And when that 30 minutes is up, the time for that client's work is up as well. But it also gives me an incentive to get things done right in front of me.
Oh.
Like that. And it's like that one thing. And I'm a paper person.
Yes, me too.
I have an app that I have called Todoist that me and my team use, where we keep up with our tasks and that. But I'll look at that Todoist app and the stuff I have scheduled for the day, and I'll sort of prioritize them to what are the top things that I'm going to truly focus on, and what's going to be the time frame I'm going to give each of those items. Mm-hmm. Because you're not going to necessarily get tasks done or manifest that next big project or the next big client unless you have your house in order, in some sense of order. Because once you're working with people and people are paying you to do something, if it's not done right or done in a sequential order, you're not going to get contracts with that person again. And they can always fire you along the way if things are not in due order. So the best thing to do is to start with yourself. Start with your own focus and keeping the distractions out of your own path, and you'll be a better business owner because of it. And remember, we talked about this. Whatever issues you have are going to show up in your business.
Okay, you know what? Look what words I wrote down. I'm listening to spirit, container, and framework.
Yep.
So when you're at the beginning, that's what's going on. You're building your own framework.
Yeah.
I talked about this live on Instagram before we went live today on Facebook. You're building a framework, and what I said was do it trash first. The first time is going to be an F up, right. But you're building a framework as you go.
Right.
So
one that works for you, right? The 2 hours
works
for me.
For you. So the container, give yourself time at the beginning of anything to mess up, to collect data, to say, you know what? When I wake up, and this is a personal one, if you want to take your vitamin, put them right there when you wake up. When you about to hit the snooze or whatever, get up, take it. So you can put these things on autopilot.
Right.
And then when it's time for you to creatively flow, you have space. You don't have to make any decisions.
Right.
Here I am. My timer's on and the phone is somewhere else. It's off. So you've removed the lies about and other people's idea about, and all these other things that you could be thinking about
Mm-hmm.
out of your personal space.
Yep.
And the true you is in there.
Yeah.
The creative genius is right there. And you have to give that creative genius some room to show up. Let me get out of the way. It's like a bodyguard.
Yeah.
You know, hey, no pictures, no autographs. She don't have time. Sorry. Let her come through.
And
So,
the thing too is social media keeps people. There's a lot of inspirational content and a lot of how to, but it also keeps people from listening to themselves to figure out what they're supposed to be for themselves and everybody else. A lot of people, we're too busy looking to the right and to the left to other human beings, trying to figure out where we place in that alignment with those other human beings, when your only alignment is with yourself and your highest self.
right.
It doesn't have to do with other people. Now, what you end up providing to other human beings is going to come out of your own self-alignment. Mm-hmm. And maybe you could get some how-to practical knowledge from other people, but the experience of who you're supposed to be is not going to come from the distraction of those phones and the distraction of having to engage with the world. Our phones and all of that are energy vampires. There are people who are energy vampires, but our actual devices are energetic vampires too.
That's true. That's true. And I think it's great to connect with someone who can give you information. But when you commit, it's almost like a relationship. You can commit and go ahead and dig deep with that. And when it's time for you to move on to something else, you'll know. But you'll never be satisfied and fulfilled by intaking every day. Nope. Every day it's a new guru. Oh my God, this looks great. You're scrolling and committing and looking and committing to everybody. You being like promiscuous with your energy.
Right.
And you have to understand, because just like for me, we were talking about, I have too many ideas. I can't sleep with all of them.
Right.
Okay? You know what I mean? I can't entertain all of the ideas. I only need to commit to one, or maybe three at the most, and say, this particular time in my space, I'm committed to this thing. I will remove the distractions of all the rest of my wonderful ideas. I will, keep a file. I want to come back to this. I will come back. But, it's you strategizing, and that is your masculine energy. You have a strategy and a plan and numbers and measurement. Yes. So it's a real thing. And a lot of people, okay, I'm stuck. I can't, I'm not, this is it right here.
Yeah.
You have to control, what's coming into your space. And
no, I mean to interrupt. I just had a quick thought. People need to create whatever their beacon is, right? My beacon for myself, I have a teenage son. My beacon is my phone cannot get as much time as my son. So on a day where I'm like, oh man, I spent 6 hours somehow on my phone in general.
It happens so easy.
It happens so easily. And I'm like, have I spent 6 hours sitting talking to my child? Has my child spent the hours he spends on his phone communicating and having the time? So now that we're settled into our new home, we're actually putting things in place so that we can have that time. We bought this cool Lego set that's with these mini 500, 600 pieces. We bought some other stuff and games that will be focused and centered towards us spending the time. And we do a lot of talking already. We have a very close-knit relationship. But I've also had to think about, if these phones didn't exist, what would I be doing with my own child on an everyday basis, right? My teenager. And learning how to continue to provide him with a level of love, support, and connectivity that I know a lot of children just aren't getting, So that's my beacon. He's my beacon. He's my center point focus.
Girl.
And I always, with him, I always say I treat my child the way that I want the universe to treat me. I don't want the universe to be, or God to be distracted when he's dealing with me. I'm not trying to have that. So I can't say he, because I just say it when it's dealing with me. I don't want to be distracted when I'm dealing with my child. So I'm trying to live. That's my own beacon. That's my own sort of moniker that's in my head. So I'm trying to live up to my own standard. That's my standard.
I love it. Thank you, because you really put me in place with that, because when you break down that measurement, 6 hours on your phone, have you spent 6 hours with your child or with your family? That's real talk right there. And the answer for me was no, because she's another introvert, just as an example. And I know for us, I was like, what the thing for us is taking a drive. And if like, you have a safe space, let's get in the car. We can't be on our phones in the car. You
Right.
know what I mean? So it's like us taking a drive and we talk the most. So it's almost like that was like a lifeline. It's like by any means necessary, spend that time. But
Yeah.
that was the deepest part. That was the deepest part of the pool right there. That's Ooh,
Yeah.
let me move on to
Yeah.
the next one because it's hot again. It's hot again in here. Wow. All right, self-observation.
Yes, last but not least is that self-observation. I spoke earlier about humans, how we tend to learn. It's not really about hearing people talk or even reading words. It's through experience and through self and observation of other people, right? Who all got that one parent or maybe the cousin or uncle or auntie or grandparent who you grew up and you were like, "Ooh, I'm not gonna be like that person," right? You,
Right,
you, you
right.
saw you saw him, right? And that's one of the main ways that humans learn, but also self-observation. I see people doing things that they don't even know they're doing. For example, this is a little bit of a personal story. I had a boyfriend years ago who we were out somewhere like at a bowling alley, and his head was on a swivel. He was looking at every little thing and kept looking over, and he didn't even know he was noticed he was doing. So when I brought it up later, like, hey, you looked over in that direction like 15 times, looking at those group of women. No, I didn't. No, and he denied it and was like, I didn't. I swear I did. And I was like, this person don't even know what they're doing. Denial, don't even know I am lying. And it's because there's a lack of self-observation and awareness of what your person is doing. As someone I'm super observant, I just notice the littlest things in
Yes,
people.
yes, yes.
I've had to learn how to observe myself and observe how I show up too. Because sometimes we're moving and coursing and we're moving based on our filters, our fears, our thoughts, our happenings, our intentions, and we're not even paying attention to our own movements. So the more you learn to observe yourself, you're going to be able to decipher where your holes are, where your weaknesses are, where your strengths are before society tells you. That up and down that you're going through financially and mentally and all that in your business, you're going to be able to master it better and get yourself on a trajectory more like this because you can observe where you're not aligning. You could be like, man, like for instance, procrastination. You can observe like, dang, I procrastinated on that project or this, and that. And you got to look at, okay, why am I procrastinating? What negative emotion do I have about doing this particular job or doing this particular project? Okay, if your intuition is telling you something about that, why aren't you listening to it? Because sometimes procrastination means that yourself is telling you no.
Yes.
It's not you're not being lazy. Yourself is saying no.
Thank you.
You
Thank
know.
you.
So just self observation. That's going to take you the furthest than anything else.
Well,
That's number three, but that really is number one. But I wanted to culminate with that.
girl, whatever order it comes in. What I wrote down is mirror. That
Mhm.
it's interesting observation about you and the boyfriend. And what I will throw out there to people is that get in front of some new mirrors
Mhm.
because your family and friends are going to show you the same thing over and over again about themselves and about yourself.
Yep.
Real quick, I was in a group coaching situation earlier this year. And what it taught me how deep I was in the self-development hole because we can use spirituality for good or we could use it for evil, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
self-development, the self-help, the gurus, the praying, the meditating, the saging. And we had a check-in every morning. Everybody would post and check in and talk about what they had done, what
Hmm.
kind of day. And every day I was saying the same stuff. Oh, I feel so great. I had a great meditation. I had a great spiritual reading this morning. And then other people would say, well, I got my email list together. I did this. I did this.
Yeah.
And I had to look and say, I have no tangibles that I'm writing about every day. What
Right.
am I doing? And I
Right.
will do it over and over. You said it before, years overthinking,
Yep.
years over praying, years over vision boarding, years of
And people,
just,
yeah, and people will use self help as a crutch. They'll read
yes,
10 self help books and still
and
won't
not
start on the
do
path of healing.
anything, and not do
Yeah.
anything. So it was an interesting mirror for me that I was tripping hecka hard on my little self righteous meditation pillar.
Right.
And I said I wanted to do these things, but I had not done any of them. And I
Right.
did, just like you said, I didn't even know I was lying.
Right.
to myself. So self-observation, and that can come in many different forms. When people, also at the beginning, you talked about the virtual, the pandemic, how that lit up some things. Yeah, it's for me too.
Yeah.
Because when you can get in front of people who are on the other side of the planet, right here on, internet group coaching. There's so many groups that I was in that really showed me different pieces of myself.
Yes.
So it's easier now. It's not harder. And we think because we're locked, sometimes, we're locked in or some things have happened. No, it makes it a little easier. So
Right.
I'm sitting here in Oakland, California. You're where, Phoenix?
I'm in Houston, Texas.
Hey, you're in the time zone with us right now. Wherever you are, we're on the same timeline.
Right.
And there's something that we brought to each other's consciousness that wasn't there when we started an hour and 5 minutes ago.
Right.
So it's a mirroring process that can happen, that can disrupt your thought pattern just enough to get you
Where you
out of
need
the
to be.
funk and into motion. So
Yes.
I love that story, and I'm writing down the denial. Don't even know I'm lying. That's my new. It's my new mantra.
Yes.
That is so genius. Okay, so we've gotten through our top three here. Let's recap really quickly. Intuition and intention.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Remove distractions. And if you're just joining us, or if you're in the replay, please go back and see what was said about the spirituality of removing distractions, because that's when it got real and got hot in here. And self-observation.
Yes, ma'am.
What are you really doing?
Right.
What you think and feel you're doing is just your programming running itself, but what are you really doing?
Right.
So powerful. And again, we have been blessed by Phoenix
Thank
Jackson,
you.
who, for whatever reason, is this very young spirit with all this wisdom and knowledge
Yeah.
that has shifted us into a wonderful pocket today. Is there anything you want to share with us? What are you doing right now that we need to be a part of?
Yes. So I'm not offering anything direct right now, other than if you guys want to potentially go, I have a website called flywithphoenix.tv, and we have a money mantras workbook on there and all types of other things on there that are super inexpensive to kind of get you in alignment to where you're trying to be with everything you're trying to do within your business. My business, The Spirit of Business, is on my book. The Spirit of Business is on there. It's in ebook form as well as paper form. And if you want a free copy of the ebook, just email me at phx@phoenixeffect with an A, phx@phoenixeffect.com, and I'll shoot you over a free copy of the ebook. I'm in the process of writing my second book called Keep Betting on Yourself, Turning Trauma into Triumph. I'm already, I work with major institutions and nonprofits and businesses and all types of things. So my company's doing very well, have great employees, great team. My company is The Phoenix Effect, and that's at thephoenixeffect.com. So there's flywithphoenix.tv if you guys want to engage with any of our, courses and little things that we have that are really inexpensive. And then, of course, we have our main company called The Phoenix Effect, for anybody out there who, wants to look deeper into my history, my journey as an entrepreneur. But that's about it. I'm excited for this next leg of my journey. I moved across, I left Denver, Colorado, which I had been for 24 years, and moved to Houston, Texas. And I'm really loving the different vibe and the home and just everything that I've been able to set up shop here. And I'm just excited to do more shows like this, Nikki. I appreciate you. I appreciate you for having me on. And you all are awesome, great spirits. And I know that you guys can do it. Align yourself and everything else is going to fall into place.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. This has been a really healing experience
Thank
for
you.
me. And it has been a safe space as well.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? So fam, listen, let the intuition and the magic happen in your life.
Yes.
Again, this is one DM on Instagram. Hey sis,
Yep.
I'm doing this. Would you like to? Because you were on my wall already. Because I had names of people that I wanted to be a part of the Prosperity Project. You were
Yes.
already there, and it's almost like you heard me write it down on a piece of paper. Because one day you were like, "Hey, girl, look at this," and I was like, "Oh, it's her." So you know, seeds are planted in us all the time.
Yes.
And I know I'm going to get it wrong, but there was a quote I saw. It's like, could it be that your desire is the very thing knocking at your door? What you want wants you, it's looking,
Mm.
it's trying to pull your true
Mm.
self out of the stuck spots, because
Wow.
that's all it is. You've forgotten who you are. And
Yep.
once you start to remember, you don't have to remember all at once. Once you get the
Right.
little sprinkles and seeds of who you are, honey, that's all it takes. That's
That's
all
all
it
it
takes.
takes. Wow. That is
Woo!
a beautiful quote. Thank you for that. That is so
Thank,
beautiful.
thank you, sis. I'm a whole different person than I was when we started this conversation.
Yes, I
Um,
love that. I
I,
love
I,
that.
I, I love this conversation too. So I put it up here one more time, flywithphoenix.tv. That's a good place to start. If you
Yep.
want to connect, if you're saying, hey, let me just read one of her ebooks, go for it. She's an
Yep.
amazing lady. And again, I've
Thank
been a
you.
fan of hers for, that was what, last year when
Yeah,
we did
last
that
year.
event
Yeah.
together. And it was just like, I know when we talked, you were like, well, oh, I didn't even know you worked on the radio. I just saw that. So
Yeah.
it's just like that. It's all about energy, fam.
Yes.
So
Cohesiveness.
that's right.
Cohesiveness.
Keep expanding. So expanding your consciousness, expanding your profits, your business, your soul, your relationships,
Mm.
any of your situations. The answers are already in there. Thank you so much, Phoenix, for joining
Thank
us.
you. Thank you all for having me. I appreciate you.
I appreciate this wonderful connection. Thank you for joining us, fam. Thank you for your commentary. I see Michelle Routon. I know she's here in the Bay Area in Pittsburgh, because you're on my wall too, Michelle. She is a part of the circle here. Leslie Lyons and my girl Tanya in New Orleans. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Prosperity Project. We will see you next week. Just keep your eye on my Facebook page and my Instagram page for more information about our next Prosperity Project. It is happening. Oh, Tanya's still here. Thank you, sis. It's
Thank
happening
you.
every week, unless something happens, and I certainly will let you know. Phoenix Jackson, PR, media strategist, and I don't know, like spiritual coach too, because she just got us all right today. Thank you, family. Nikki Thomas, the Prosperity Project, and we're out.